Okay, we're back.
Tina, Chris, and Meribeth here.
And we're talking story from the core. Specifically, you're we're right in communication, and really about I'm suggesting anyway, like the elevation of communication. Mm-hmm. What does communication feel like when we stop efforting it so much? And how does it shift? Yeah.
And I just wanted to say, like, we've been talking about a word, and that word is mastery. It jumped up as like, oh, is this a word that we are serving? Do we want to help? Do we want to work with people who are in their mastery, and what does that mean? And so we've been talking about what that word means and whether that's the right word for us. And now we're talking about elders. And so, yeah, I agree with you, Tina. There's something in that. They're connected. And so go.
Okay, so I'll just do a little TinaO rant for a little bit. How about that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Like, what I'm really sick of, can I just say that? What makes me nuts is empty communication that has lots of flash. What makes me nuts is, and this is like from a heart place, is when I see exceptional human beings, powerful, heartful, like engaged human beings, but their communication is still flash instead of connected. Or even harder for me is when it's connected, but it's not communicated. Yeah. And that is what I care about. Because it's one thing to be masterful. It's even another thing to be in your mastery. But if it doesn't elevate to a level that is soulful, and from that place we were just talking about before, like where our puzzle piece just locks right in. It doesn't even lock right in. It just like
slides in like butter.
It's right in like butter. We're missing something. And I think in today's world where communication is currency, like everything is social. Communication is our currency. Like, how are we spending our communication? Like, how, are we dealing in gold or like pennies?
And it's the energy to get there, right? Like, let's make no mistake, to craft communication requires energy. If we care about it, if we care about the message, like, sorry, but this is, right. Our babies don't come out like, they communicate better with their eyes than their words for a long time. Right. Maybe, for some people forever. And that's awesome. It's a beautiful thing, but we live in a world that does not create the space and the time for that kind of communication. So
well said.
What we've got, our tool is words. Right? Whether those words are heard, whether those words are written, that's what we've got.
Are you suggesting that there's a masterful way to communicate?
Yeah. Right.
Like, so what I was calling elevated, if you will.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Got it. Okay.
Well, Chris and I have little kids. Your kids are a little bit older. But let's talk about that power, right? Like the power of the very young to communicate so well, even though they don't have the words or the structure or whatever. Right. Maybe the goal is to find the power of that communication in our words. To bring, our kids can just look at us and we're like, oh God, we know. Whatever it is, on some level we know if we're paying attention to them. Right. And so as adults, can we bring that kind of power and connection when we are delivering words as speakers, as writers?
I really appreciate what you're saying there. I think, we were talking earlier that communication exists as a kind of nexus point or interface, and there's no impact to be made. There's no real sustained form of one's expression and offering and kind of lucid power again, not like power seeking, like I want to build my empire, I want to dominate, I want to, no, but like to really make the kind of sustained difference in the coherent expression that one wants to give as from their heart, really from their soul, right?
Legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. To make an actual, whatever that looks like. I'm not here to say bigger is better, and I don't think we need to put those kind of values as legacy has to look like X. It has to look like impact on this level and this scale and this. That may be genuine for certain souls. They may really have that kind of energy, that they have that kind of oomph on a magnitude or scale, and for others it might be 10 human beings that they've worked with at a level that those human beings have been like utterly transformed. So that could also be super genuine for that person. Again, this back to kind of soul, like, is it congruent versus, oh, I saw this person and they do this thing and they do it so well and I just want to be like them. No, you want to be like, they're connected to their thing and you want to be connected to your thing. But your thing might actually express and look quite differently than theirs. But the one thing that is the same is that in either case, it needs to be clearly expressed. It needs to resonate with human beings. It needs to be understandable. And it needs to feel congruent to your own being. The soul is its own language, for sure, and you need to learn the grammar and the structure of your own language, but then you need to learn how to translate that language into the language of the world. And it's, I think, the combination of those two, and like good translation, good interpretation, so it feels cohesive, so it feels aligned, is really, in my sense, why, I'm interested in this process and excited about it, because I think that's where we can be really helpful.
Mm-hmm. That opens up a whole other question, right? Like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, I just gave my little communication rant about social currency, or, communication as currency. But I'm curious about that, for each of you. I think I'll speak for me first. I think as I call myself an expressive, right? As an expressive, this matters for me just initially from my own work of recognizing that as an expressive, how does what I say, like, how does it land, and is it landing? Mm-hmm. And how I don't want to be out there just talking to myself all the time. And so it was about connection. And then as I started, why this work really matters to me from working with other people is communication is the one thing that we do all day, all the time. And it's almost as spiritual, it can be a spiritual practice of being with people on our language. And then I think about my children and the digital world that we live in, and we're losing our ability to stay connected in our communication because of the digital world. It's not because of the digital world. That's just the thing that we're playing in now. And so it matters to me that people know how to communicate, again, from the sort of spiritual practice place in the digital world, because wow, we matter. Like, we matter, and that connection matters. So on multiple levels, this work matters a lot to me, and like right through communication. Wow, I can't believe I just said that, like, about that spiritual, like a spiritual practice of communication, and I think that's really what I'm going for here. Yeah.
Well, it's easiest for me to kind of hook into imagining who the people are that we're working with. And so I'm thinking the people as I said before, the people we are working with are those people who are ready to own their puzzle piece and know their boundaries, but also know, like, their wave and their ripple that they create in the world. And so obviously there's the external communication piece, which is huge, but I also know that if we don't internally claim our message and our work and what we want to give to the world, it will just get frustrated, and that idea will crumble. And so I don't want those ideas to crumble. I mean, there are definitely lines in my head about there might be some people in the world who I might not want to work with. Like, let's be clear on that, because I think there are definitely some messages that I don't want to be promoting.
Yeah.
But I do also think that we all, whatever our shifts and differences are, they exist for a reason. And if we can delve into those and understand them and then express them properly, then they will have a good impact in the world. A healthy impact, and it will help in, help in the way we all interact with one another, right? If I can help elevate one person's communication, then others will follow.
Beautiful. Wow. I specifically loved the ideas will crumble. I was like, wow, how do we protect the world from people's ideas crumbling? I just saw them. Wow. Beautiful. Okay, Chris, you're on.
Oh, I am?
You're on. Why does this matter to you?
Why does this matter to me? Yeah, I mean, I think given the cacophony and the dissonance, I think the digital space in some ways simply reflects our internal incoherence societally, and I think in other ways it actually ramps it up. I think it's a kind of an accelerator in certain regards. But I wouldn't put it all on that, but it plays its part, I think. So to me, as older structures of communication and institutionalized forms of power and governance and their forms of communication, which were, 3 TV stations that everybody had to listen to, or the 2 parties, or the whatever, as that all crumbles, and there's a lot of dissonance on the one hand. On the other hand, there's a possibility for voice to actually come out amidst the din. That voices particularly that would not, no matter how soulful, no matter how aligned, would have had a hell of a time if not been basically written off and had no possibility of ever actually getting out under the old channels of control. And so this is a moment where I think another possibility is apparent. Like, the old systems aren't working, that's crumbling, and nobody trusts systems, understandably. On the other hand, it's kind of everybody do it yourself, and it's just everybody, just opinions and noise and proliferation and fragmentation doesn't work either. And I see us trying to shoot the gap, find this channel between those 2 failed extremes and really offer a place where people can speak and have a deep and lasting resonance within and without.
Shoot the gap. I love that. Shoot the gap. Crumbles. Spiritual currency or practice. Wow. Yeah, I totally get it. Wow. Okay, so we've got our work cut out for us. Let's take another break. And maybe we'll come back and talk about the program specifically, what's going to happen in the program. And just thank you. Thank you.